Hey my frugal friends, wagwan, welcome and welcome back to my channel. Frugality is live. Thank you so much for popping in, and we are part two. This is part two, guys. Part two of the job search series, and I went through planning, and I think it's gonna have 5 or 6 parts. So this is part two, guys. Part two. Welcome back. Thank you for coming back, and we're gonna jump right in. I am always going to be trying to do something with my hands, and we're going to see how it works out. Like, I don't know, guys. So I will be setting up these 2 binders, which are on my roadmap for 2025, and things I want to add and change. So these are actually I'm actually setting up again a month ahead binder. So I had this before and I discontinued it because I was I prioritize other things, guys. And so I have this now where I am going to slowly try to add some money into this binder to get a month ahead on my bills. I have these vellum inserts that I'm going to put into my envelopes that I created. I created these. I don't know if they're going to fit in my envelopes. I hope they do, because I didn't measure. I kind of guesstimated. And then this one is going to be my low priorities, and everything that I say for is a priority, guys, but I decided to add these to the list because I want to keep them in mind. Not necessarily that they're very low priority and I really don't care about them, but they are things that I want to save for. They may not be my biggest priority right now, but there are things that I want to save for, and because I want to keep them, I have a couple of them twice. I must take them out. But anyway, yeah, so these are things that I need to pay anyways. Some of them, as I said, I did twice. I mean, I have to take those out as I go through, but I want to keep them on my radar, and I think having them in this binder will keep them on my radar to say, hey, you're gonna have these things that you're gonna want to buy later on, whenever. And so just adding even $5 to each one every month or something, it's better than when they come up and then I'm pulling them the money from my abundant fund to buy these things. So that's why I'm creating this. You may see them on my channel, or you may not. They may be in the background, but again, these will be things that I will be stuffing. I'll try to see how I can incorporate them to be on my channel, but no promises, guys. But these are things that I am going to be including in my 2025 budget to save for. And as I said, they may just be getting low amounts every month, but it's going to still be on my radar. And I have some blank ones that I also created just in case other things come up that I want to add. And they're not mandatory savings, guys. These are, as I said, just things I want to, like, they're low priorities, but they're things that I'm going to want. I'm going to want a laptop at some point. I have a iPad at the moment, but I'm going to want a laptop because I think creating and stuff, it's easier to do on a laptop. Could also be a desktop, like if I decided to go Apple desktop away, I don't know. So these are, yeah, things that I would, so I'm going to be setting up this. So yeah, while I speak to you, I hope these fit, because I did not do well with measuring, but I kind of guesstimated. So guys, let's jump in. Let's do a recap to start. So let me get this out of the way, and let's do a recap to start. So what did we cover in our last session? We covered how to job hunt, and we talked about planning ahead, making sure you know the type of jobs that you're interested in, your salary, you know, whether it's hybrid or remote, keeping in mind start date. So when I talked about the start date last time, I realized I forgot to talk about vacation. So if you have a vacation coming up or different things, keep these in mind, because you'd want to, at the point of getting an offer and accepting an offer, like bringing this into the conversation to say, hey, you know, I have a 2-week vacation plan, etc., etc., so you can push back start date. I wouldn't bring it up in the initial conversation. I would bring it up like once you know, are about to accept an offer or something like that. So, you know, right there and then it's easier to kind of factor that in. We talked about like start working on it. So start, you know, going on LinkedIn and checking on Indeed, networking with friends, family, and your previous co-workers. We talked about not ticking every box that there is on the job description. You know, if you think you don't fit like you don't have all the experience or you don't have all the skills, don't worry, still go ahead and apply. And I also talk about it's a numbers game, because I feel like you need to just continue to apply, and you know, numbers, it increases your odds of getting interviews and getting a job. And then I told you, come back for part 2, and this is part 2. I also talked about people wanting what is hard to obtain, and that is something I've learned in my career. And what do? I am a procurement professional. I negotiate source different items that a company want. Some of it includes like construction stuff, guys. I've worked on construction projects, negotiating you know, with contractors. I've worked on procuring different things, whether that's in marketing, IT, logistics, you know, travel and entertainment management, different categories I have worked, name it, that I've worked I've worked on it. And so I've learned over the years that, and in also my negotiation training and my professional training, that people want things that are difficult to obtain, right? They want to be challenged. They want to know that, hey, you know, when I get this thing, I'm gonna feel rewarded because it's something that I had to work for. And even in negotiating, this come in handy because it helps when things are hard to obtain. So with you and wanting to find a job, being desperate actually works against you sometimes, because a company may say, you know, this person looked too desperate in need of the job. And so you lose leverage in negotiation when you're too desperate. That's one thing that you kind of give away. When you're too desperate, you kind of lose that leverage. That's one thing. There are other things that I can get into and may get into over the course of the series, but just remember that I'm not saying you should pretend like you don't want the job at all, but I feel like you need to be able to have some sense of, yes, I want the job, but, right? So yes, I want a job, but, or, you know, make sure that you're not seemingly very desperate for the job. Anyway, let's get into it. So keep that in mind, and we're going to jump into what we're going to talk about this week. And this time, this part 2, we're talking about, it's interview time. You know, you went through, you tick all the boxes in the previous one that we talked about. Now you have an interview. Someone call you up, or they send an email. We are interested in your resume. We saw your resume. We are very interested. You look like you're someone who we want to speak to because your skills matches the job that we have advertised, and we are looking for to fill this vacancy, right? So now we've said that, we've set up a time that works. Now, what do you need to do? So let's talk about before the interview and what you need to do. Okay, so before the interview, reread the job description. Always reread the job description. Even a few minutes before going into this interview, reread the job description, because chances are they're going to be asking you questions, and we will go into questions in the next part, what the interviewer will be asking you. So I'm gonna, in the next couple parts, we're gonna talk about questions you can anticipate to get. Like, there may be questions, I'm not guaranteeing that these are the questions, but based on my experience, some of these questions come up a number of times. So these are some questions you may be asked. We're going to cover that, and questions that you can ask. We're going to cover that in the next couple parts. So stay tuned. But reread the job description. Make sure you're familiar with the job you're applied for, because sometimes, as I said, it's a numbers game. You're applying for a lot of jobs, and so when you get called for one, you're like, ooh, which job was this again? And then you have to go back and just refresh your memory of, you know, the job description, who you're reporting to, what the salary is if they had advertised it, and different skills that they need for that job. So reread the job description. The next thing, research the company. Don't just go in blind and be like, yes, they called me, I know the job description, I'm just going to go in to talk. No, research the company. Make sure you know why you want to work at this company. Make sure you know why, you know, what is their goal, what is their initiatives, what are their values. Be sure that you know all of this going in, because one, it's good for you going into the interview, but two, it's good for you to know what company you are entering into, right? You don't want to go into a company where their values doesn't align with yours, and the goals that they're trying to achieve isn't something that you think you'll be passionate about, because you're working towards all of this. When you're going into a company, you're working to build the company and to achieve the goals and to carry out their initiatives and to ensure that whatever they value, it's something that is going to be reflected in the job and the duty that you're there to do. So ensure that you do the research for you, but also to demonstrate to the interview that you understand the company that you're applying to, right? And questions may be asked around these things. All right, the next thing is look up some people. Look up the people that you will be interviewing with, right? So sometimes they will tell you, hey, you're meeting with John Sharp. Look up John Sharp on LinkedIn. Try to find some details about them, you know, their background and different things. So you can factor some of that into the questions when you're being asked. Yes, it's not stalking. It's not stalking. It's a level. This is known in the professional environment, job hunting environment, that you may look up the person. You may, you know, have some questions about them and, you know, their journey, how long they've been at the company, different things. So you can ask them these questions as well. And I always try to factor questions pertaining to people's tenure into the questionnaire, because we're going to get to that, but people like to talk about themselves, right? So when you do this, you kind of get yourself more familiar with the interviewer. Prepare your questions to ask the interviewer. Make sure, and before I go to the last thing on this list, we're going to start to fix this binder up. So yeah, so prepare questions for the interview. Don't just go into the interview and not have any questions. No, and don't wait until the end to ask the questions, guys. Like, yeah, this may need a little bit of trimming. You don't have to wait until the interviewer said, oh, do you have any questions for us to ask? You can ask throughout, like, you know, throughout the session, to make it like a conversation versus like a question and answer segment. When you ask questions throughout the interview process, it's more of a conversation. Okay, guys, what am I doing here? It's more of a conversation, you know, where so you don't have to wait until the end. I don't know why there's a bubble in here, but you know. Yeah, so I find it helpful to ask as I go, as the person is giving you details, because some of them will start by telling you, you know, the background of the company. So sometimes you research and they don't ask you, but that's okay, because you want to be prepared, right? So if you're asked, you can answer. So prepare your questions. Prepare questions. And we're going to talk about the type of questions in other sections of the series, so I won't go into that right now, but just ensure that you have questions to ask. All right, and as we get to this part, if there are any questions that you have been asked, okay, Fiona, what did you just do? If there are any questions that you have been asked in your, you know, interview life, job hunting life, that you think stumped you, like a question that you think was so difficult to answer, leave it in the comment section below. And next week, when we are going through, okay, I think I'm messing up these things. I'm saying they're air bubbles, but I think, like, look, every time I bend it, it's okay. You know what? I don't think this is the easiest thing to do while I speak to you. So I'm gonna leave this for our camera when I'm not so rough and messing up the things that I made. But these are some binders that you may be seeing in 2025, because I am going to be stuffing these areas as I mentioned. Okay, so I will set these up off camera because it's seemingly becoming a little bit of a challenge, and I don't want to making a ton of noise and be distracting when I'm kind of going into detail. So let's carry on. So as I was saying, if there are questions that you've been asked before in your interview live, leave them down below, and the question that you find most difficult to answer, leave them down below, and we will I will grab whatever I get and we will try to answer and I will kind of tell you how I would answer those questions in the next part, the Q&A portion, which are the next couple parts to come, right? So please leave those questions below. If there are any questions that you think you've been asked that you thought was interesting, or any questions you thought was challenging for you to answer, leave it in the comment section below, and next series I will go through a couple of those questions and kind of let you know, oh, I would answer them. Okay. All right. So the last thing is, as I said, prepare for questions you will be asked. Right. So before the interview, reread the job description, research the company, look up the people you will be interviewing with, prepare your questions for the interviewer, and prepare 4 questions you may be asked by the interviewer. Okay. So that is before the interview. Now, during the interview, if it's online or virtual, remember to still dress the part. Yes, they cannot see your legs, but make sure that you still look, you have a nice enough top, a blazer, whatever it is. Make sure that you are looking the part, although it's online or, virtual. Make sure you're in a quiet environment, guys. You don't want somewhere that's noisy that you won't be able to hear the interview, or the interviewer won't be able to hear you, or there'll be distractions where you are not able to answer questions or speak eloquently because you're distracted. Maintain eye contact. As much as this is virtual, maintain eye contact. It's the same for when you are meeting in person. When you're meeting in person, you wouldn't be looking sideways, up, down. You'll be looking directly at the interviewer. So make sure you maintain eye contact, because that also shows confidence. Take notes if possible. Let the interviewer know though that you're taking notes. So as you talk, you don't want to be looking down and they don't know that you're actually taking notes. So just let the interviewer know, like, I'll be taking some notes throughout the process, just so for things that I want to remember. And it's okay for them to see your hands, guys, if you're virtually interviewing. So you always want to be aware of your posture and sort of your non-verbal cues that you're giving in an interview. Still use your hands, not too much. Still have a good posture. As I said, keep eye contact, just to show confidence in the interview, that you're confident about the role, you're confident about your skills, and you're demonstrating that, because this is a time to sell yourself, sell your skills, sell why the company should hire you. So be confident. So as I said before, ask questions during or throughout the time. You don't have to wait until you're asked, do you have any questions? And even when you're asking questions throughout the process, make sure at the end you save a couple, because the interviewer more than likely will say to you, do you have any questions for us? And you don't want to be answering no. You want to answer yes, because you are showing that you're interviewing them, the company, as well as they're interviewing you, because that's how it is. Like, it's a two-way street. It's not like they're interviewing you and you're not trying to find out anything about the company. This is a company that you want to work at, right? It's a company that you are going to be going how many days a week, contributing how much time. This is going to contribute to your earning potential. So make sure that you're showing interest in the company and you're interviewing them. You're asking the questions that you think are valuable, that you want to know about the company. And as I said, we're going to go into questions later, but in next series to follow, or next part of the series to follow. But just keep that in mind, that it is a two-way. They're interviewing you, you are interviewing them for the job. As I said, make sure you are attentive. Try to relax. Sometimes some interviewer will come with icebreakers, or you can make some icebreakers, but make sure they are professional ones. There are times when I have used icebreakers that the person come on and I'm like, and they started talking, introduce themselves, and I'm, oh, how is the weather, how is your week going, different things like that, in order to break the ice. Depends on, sometimes the interviewer does this, which I absolutely love when the interviewer breaks the ice, because it allows for you to become more relaxed and more comfortable in the interview process. And once you are comfortable, it's a better interview, because you're not as nervous and like rambling over your words and different things. So try to relax, and just keep in mind that it's a two-way interview, right? You are interviewing them as they are interviewing you. And guys, I hope this part has been interesting. A couple of homework for you guys. Remember to leave any questions below that you think were interesting, that you've been asked in the interview. Leave below questions that actually stumped you, or you thought was difficult to answer in the interview. that you've had before. Anything else that you think that I've missed, please be sure to leave it below, because I want to be able to share it as well with everyone. And I hope this series is going to be helpful, you know, to someone who is actively interviewing for, or you're thinking of job searching and job hunting. I hope some of these tips, if even one of these tips resonate with you, that's going to help you in your process, then I would have done a good job, I think. So yes guys, please let me know below, and anything that you think you want me to cover, let me know below as well, as I go through this series. Yeah, so come back for part 3, and part 3 we're gonna talk about questions the interviewer may ask you. And I think part 4 we're gonna do questions you may want to ask them. But if I can fit everything into one video, I may do that. But it can be a lot of questions, so I don't think I will be able to fit those 2 into one, but we'll see when I will write kind of the script for that. And I'm trying to just keep it like casual, because I am super busy too, guys, but I want to give you this information, so I'm just writing it down here. I'm sure there are other ways that I could give these tips to you, but this is the easiest way for me, and I'm trying to help, but also cognizant of time. So as I said, let me know below any questions, any comments, anything you would like to add. Please be sure. I welcome it as well, to share and to learn as I go through this process, because we're always learning. We always have opportunity to learn, and so we never know everything. I'm speaking from my experience, but you also have your experience, right? And we are here to share. So let me know below any questions, concerns, anything you think I need to add. Let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure that you like the video and that you have subscribed. Until next time, keep budgeting, stay frugal, and walk good. Bye.